I get it, when you've been living with a pair of cheap bookshelf speakers for years, the moment you hear a movie explode in Dolby Atmos you feel a pang of regret, and the next thing you know you're hunting for an upgrade that won't break the bank. The market is littered with budget floor standers that promise thunderous bass and cinematic sound, only to leave you with a thin, tinny front stage that makes you wonder why you ever spent the extra cash. That hesitation is real, and it's why I wanted to spend a solid weekend actually wiring a living room, pulling a few test movies and music albums, and seeing if this Focal Vestia No3 Plus Denon Avantage RXA6A bundle feels like a smarter buy. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, this isn't a plug-and-play set that you can just drop on a shelf and forget about. The Vestia No3 speakers are three-way, floor-standing units with a light-finished wood cabinet that looks as much like a piece of furniture as a piece of audio gear. The RXA6A is a 9.2-channel receiver that brings Dolby Atmos, DTS, and a good amount of headroom for a home theater setup. My first concern was whether the combination would actually deliver a balanced, immersive experience without forcing me to become a full-time acoustics engineer. I started by placing the two Vestia No3s on either side of a standard 10-foot TV, keeping them at ear level when seated, and setting the receiver to its default AV mode. I ran a 5.1 Blu-ray that had a solid soundtrack, then switched to an Atmos title. The first thing I noticed was that the bass response filled the room without the usual boom 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 that cheap floor standers throw at you. That's the result of the 3 Slatefiber cone drivers working together with a bass reflex enclosure. And it's a practical advantage when you're watching action movies where you want the rumble to be present but not overwhelming. When I swapped to a jazz album, the speakers revealed a different side. The mid-range was clean enough that the saxophone's timbre came through without being masked by the bass, and the tweeter's articulation gave the cymbals a crisp sheen. In a real-world living room, that balance matters because you're not listening in a dead room environment. You have furniture, curtains, and a few kids running around. The Vestia No3 managed to stay clear and present, which is something many budget floor standers simply can't pull off. The receiver's role in this bundle is equally important. The Avantage RXA6A gave me enough power, about 150 watts per channel, to drive the Vestia's 92 dB sensitivity without strain. I tested the dynamic range by cranking up the volume on a rock track, and the speakers held their composure, delivering the highs and lows without distortion. The built-in Odyssey calibration was a nice shortcut. It measured the room's reflections and tweaked the crossover points, giving me a starting point that sounded decent. I did have to fine-tune a few settings manually, especially the height speaker levels for Atmos, but that's expected when you're aiming for a true 3D soundstage. Who should consider this bundle? If you already own a decent TV and are ready to step into a full home theater experience, and you value both music and movies, this set makes sense. The speakers are tall enough to fill a medium-sized living room, and the receiver's channel count leaves room for adding height or rear speakers later. It's also a good fit for audiophiles who appreciate a speaker that can handle orchestral passages without sounding harsh, while still delivering the punch needed for modern blockbusters. Who should skip it? If you live in a tiny apartment where floor-standing speakers would dominate the space, or if you only plan to stream casual YouTube videos, you might be better off with a compact bookshelf pair and a smaller receiver. The Vestia's three-way design and the Avantage's power mean they're built for rooms where the sound can breathe. Cramming them into a 150-square-foot space will likely result in excessive reverberation and a less controlled bass response. Also, if you're a strict budget shopper who doesn't want to spend more than a few $100s total, this bundle will be out of reach. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The Vestia No3's bass reflex port gives it that deep low end, but it also means the speaker will interact more with room modes. In rooms with hard flooring and minimal carpeting, you may notice a little boominess in the 80,120 Hz region until you add rugs or adjust placement. The lightwood finish is beautiful, but it's a finish that shows fingerprints and dust more readily than a matte black cabinet. So you'll need to keep the speakers wiped down if you care about aesthetics. The Avantage RXA6A, while powerful, runs a bit warm under prolonged high-volume use. It's not a reliability issue for most households, but if you plan marathon gaming sessions or 8-hour movie marathons at high levels, you'll want to ensure the receiver has enough ventilation space. The remote is packed with functions which can be overwhelming.